Welcome. Today, we're diving into the world of English verbs, focusing on the difference between action verbs and state of being verbs. Understanding these two types is key to building strong, clear sentences. Whether you're writing, speaking, or just trying to improve your English, knowing when to use each type of verb will make your communication much more effective. In this lesson, we'll break down what each verb type does, give you plenty of examples, and help you avoid common mistakes. Let's get started by exploring what action verbs are and why they matter. Action verbs tell us what the subject does. They show movement, thinking, or any kind of activity. These verbs are the engines of your sentences, driving the action forward. For example, in the sentence, "She runs every morning," the word runs is an action verb because it describes what she does. Action verbs can be physical, like running or jumping, or mental, like thinking or deciding. Let's look at these two categories more closely to see how they work in real sentences. Physical action verbs are easy to spot because they describe actions you can see. Think about activities like running, jumping, riding, swimming, or carrying. For example, the dog jumped over the fence uses jumped as the action verb. These verbs make your writing lively and help your audience picture exactly what's happening. Whenever you want to show movement or a clear activity, physical action verbs are your go-to choice. Let's see some physical action verbs in real sentences. She runs every morning. Here, runs shows what she does. Daniel writes neatly. In this case, writes is the action verb. He carried the box carefully. The verb carried tells us the action he performed. These examples show how physical action verbs bring energy and clarity to your sentences, making them more interesting and easier to understand. Not all actions are visible. Mental action verbs describe activities that happen in the mind, like thinking, deciding, imagining, understanding, or remembering. For example, I think about my goals daily. Here, think is the action verb, but you can't see it happen. These verbs are just as important as physical ones because they show what's going on inside a person's mind. Using mental action verbs helps you express thoughts, decisions, and ideas clearly. Let's look at some sentences with mental action verbs. She decided to study harder. The verb decided shows a mental action. They imagine a better future. Here, imagine is the action verb. He understands the lesson. In this case, understands is the mental action. She remembers the story clearly. The verb remembers tells us about a mental process. These examples highlight how mental action verbs help us talk about thoughts and feelings. Some action verbs need an object to complete their meaning. These are called transitive verbs. For example, in "she bought a book," the verb bought needs the object book to make sense. Another example, they watched a movie. Here, watched is the transitive verb and movie is the object. Transitive verbs help you give more detail and make your sentences more specific. Other action verbs don't need an object. These are called intransitive verbs. For example, he laughed. The verb laughed stands alone and doesn't need an object. Another example, the baby cried. Here, cried is the intransitive verb. Using intransitive verbs can make your writing more concise and direct, especially when you want to focus on the action itself, not what it affects. Action verbs are essential because they add energy and movement to your writing. They make sentences lively, help with variety, and tell your audience exactly what's happening. Whether you're describing a physical activity or a mental process, action verbs keep your writing clear and engaging. Next, let's shift gears and talk about state of being verbs, which play a different but equally important role in English. State of being verbs don't show action. Instead, they tell us about the subject's condition, identity, emotion, or state. These verbs are like the glue that holds descriptions and definitions together. For example, in she is happy, the verb is tells us about her state, not an action. State of being verbs help you describe who someone is, how they feel, or what condition they're in. The most common state of being verbs are forms of be, am, is, are, was, were, be, being, and been. These verbs are used all the time in English to describe states and conditions. For example, she is happy. They are ready for class, and I have been patient. Mastering the be family is crucial for building correct and natural-sounding sentences in English. Let's see some examples of the be family in action. She is happy. The verb is describes her state. They are ready for class. Here are shows their condition. He was tired yesterday. The verb was tells us about his state in the past. We were excited. I have been patient. These examples show how the be family helps you describe states, feelings, and conditions in different tenses. Some verbs look like actions but actually describe a state. These include seem, feel, appear, become, and remain. For example, she seems confident uses seems to show appearance, not action. I feel cold describes a condition. He appears calm shows an impression. They became friends indicates a change, and the room remained silent shows continuation. These verbs help you express subtle states and transitions. Let's look at these state verbs in sentences. She seems confident. Here, seems shows appearance. I feel cold. The verb feel describes a condition. He appears calm. They became friends. The room remained silent. Each of these verbs tells us about a state, not an action. Recognizing these helps you avoid mistakes and write more accurately. State of being verbs are essential for describing who someone is, how they feel, or what condition they're in. They don't add action, but they add clarity and depth to your writing. These verbs are especially important in definitions, descriptions, and when you want to explain a situation or feeling. Understanding state verbs helps you communicate more precisely and naturally. Now let's compare action verbs and state of being verbs directly. Action verbs show what someone does, while state verbs show what someone is, feels, or becomes. Action verbs can be physical or mental, and they often add energy to your writing. State verbs, on the other hand, describe conditions and add clarity. Knowing the difference helps you choose the right verb for every situation. Here's a quick comparison. Action verbs show what someone does and can be visible or mental. They often take objects and add energy to sentences. Examples include run, write, and think. State of being verbs show what someone is or feels, are not visible, don't take objects, and add clarity. Examples include am, is, was, and seem. This table helps you see the main differences at a glance. Let's look at some common mistakes. Mistake 1. She runs happy. This mixes an action verb with a state. The correct way is she is happy. Here, is the state of being verb that describes her feeling. Remember, use action verbs for activities and state verbs for conditions or emotions. This helps your sentences make sense and sound natural. Mistake 2. They are to school yesterday. This uses the wrong verb type and tense. The correct sentence is they went to school yesterday. Here, went is the action verb in the past tense. Always match your verb type and tense to the meaning you want to express. This keeps your sentences clear and correct. Mistake 3. He was the dishes. Here, was is used incorrectly. The correct sentence is he washed the dishes. Washed is the action verb that shows what he did. Always choose an action verb when you want to describe an activity. This helps your sentences be clear and accurate. Mistake 4. She is seeming tired. The verb seem is a state verb and should not be used in the continuous form. The correct sentence is she seems tired. Remember, state verbs like seem usually don't take the ing form. Using them correctly will make your English sound more natural and fluent. To sum up, action verbs show what someone does, while state of being verbs describe who someone is or how they feel. Knowing the difference helps you write clear, correct sentences. Practice by identifying action and state verbs in your own writing. The more you use them correctly, the more natural your English will sound. Keep practicing, and you'll master these verb types in no time.